Growing up, my grandmother swore she would tell me her story, and I would wait for the day. Sometimes she dropped a note. The devastation of foreign occupation, the poverty, and the racism of finding life somewhere else that deems you dumb. Yet for the most part, she was a mystery, a world unknown to me beyond cuddles and her favorite TV programming, telenovelas. Now, as I begin my own journey as a writer, unpacking her storytelling career, there is a part of me that regrets not pushing harder. Yet, as a woman raised by her to inherit her love as much as her fear, I understood her solid silence. The world is a bitch. All my life, I felt I was answering to assholes more than my dreams, and Karen was no different. She was the most ambitious person to somehow run in a circle. Her life felt like the fastest adrenaline rush in a kiddie pool, and yet she appeared like a great swimmer, demanding everyone to answer to her that what they were doing with their life and gossiping to veil that she really didn't have anything going on for her. Beyond work and workouts, she was trapped as a viewing party to her desires rather than a participant in them. My compassion and annoyance oozed with her because I hated the struggle I still had to not tell people to fuck off. But I understood also my understanding was some form of release. As a child, I used to love to rest my head on my grandmother's big, protruding belly. It was like a warm bubble, watching stories, begging her to tell me hers. But now even I struggle to tell mine because the truth is, I didn't know it yet. Was it of resilience? A journey of joy and authenticity, or how cowardice only ages badly? Then I got an investigative text from Karen. What you doing? Ah, broke my leg, I wrote. Doing what? She replied. Walking. Flared up an old injury, I declared. And that was that. Nothing more, nothing less. No condolences or hopes for speedy recovery. She was spending her life keeping tabs on people like a walking Google Chrome server, as if to make sure people were still losing like her. I was hurt because I wanted richer relationships than with gossips and thieving trauma victims that made me feel silence was safer. The thought made me wonder if that was what my grandmother was avoiding, not the bullying and fakery of those that did not know her, but of the ones that did. All right, let's heal. Let's discuss. Growing up, I always asked my grandmother to tell me a lot about her, and lately I understand why she didn't because I've stopped telling my story. If you notice with Daddy Recovery, there are these moments of pauses, and I swear to myself every day, I'm going to do 10 million episodes, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And yet I find my days just sweeping past me with a lot of what I want to do just staying in my head. And I know I can do it. I know I need to do it beyond whatever results they get, just for the sake of doing. That's what I lost. And I think the same thing goes with the gift of telling. We stop telling our story because we think it doesn't matter to anyone. But just telling matters. Just speaking matters. And my grandmother kind of very similar to me, except I caught it obviously younger, was just like the biggest personality to dim. She was the black sheep of her family. They were always making fun of her and they were funny. And there's nothing worse than a funny person who is malicious, who is evil. My father was really horrible at jokes. I'm talking, Donald Trump joking, right? Like this kind of bullying that then they giggle. And I think even that ability to just laugh masks the fact that you're not funny or that you're the one that's laughable. And my grandmother, like me, like my mother, loved her family and never really took the time to realize that they didn't love her back. And if the people you love don't love you back, eventually you don't love you either. And I can't imagine all the insecurities that she hid from me at knowing that she loved people who didn't like her. And I can't help but wonder, in the few stories she did tell about her life, from Puerto Rico to when she moved to New York and lived here with my mother. My mother was just a kid, and she missed Puerto Rico and missed her family and then went back. She suffered all this racism and prejudice and depression at being alone. And when the only company that you truly can keep are people that don't make you feel like you're really joining in, that does something to you. And my grandmother, loved telenovelas, loved writing. And yet, getting her to talk about her life, about her feelings, was an odyssey. She very rarely did it. And when she did, it was this terribly sad story. She didn't really say funny ones, very rarely, even more rarely than her sad ones. And when I started Daddy Recovery, I just had so many stories to tell. And then the first time I paused, I realized I wasn't being honest because I was still protecting my mother. I was still kind of, like most narcissistic abuse victims, just kind of, you are raised to love your abuser. You are raised to protect them over protecting you. You are raised, and the worst part is abuse is horrible, not just because of how cruel it can be, but you are going to laugh with your cruelty. Your abuser is going to give you some of the greatest gifts you've ever had and tell you some of the most beautiful details about yourself. And they are going to make you laugh like hell and then destroy you and then commit a horrible betrayal. And that yo yo and that feeling of I'm literally laughing with my worst enemy is why you are confused, is why you don't know how to grieve this person properly because they made you believe love is complicated. It's so complicated that you can't even love yourself when you're in love. And my grandmother only knew those experiences, even with my grandfather. And as somebody who only knew those experiences as well, I understand the silence because it's so icky to only understand love as a complication and to have to kind of run through the mud of feeling like you still need to protect the people that taught you love, even though they taught you love is pain, is so draining. You don't even want to approach the story. And I think when I look at Daddy Recovery and my delays at pushing out my music, at pushing out my art, it's because you get so abused, you forget that doing is magical, that being is God, that just moving, not even moving to a specific destination or a goal, is a gift. And I think when your family is your haters, and I brought up Karen because I think Karen is such a perfect example of the people everybody tries to avoid yet somehow encounters and makes a years long friendship with, right? Because that's the thing about Karens. It's not just that they're gossips, they are invaders. They invade your life and become this, going out buddy that monitors where you go without them. And knowing that they're always watching, aka monitoring spirits, kind of makes you want to hide. Because even if you laugh with them, even if you see them and they're kind, you also hear through the grapevine all the bull that they say. And that's kind of what I mentioned at the end. Sometimes we hold ourselves back, not for, actually, a lot of times, not for who we think will hate us, but because of who we know already does. And having these frenemies can really deter you from your path because it makes walking draining. Mal de ojo is real, evil eye is real, but I don't think evil eye is just about how people send you bad vibes. I really do think it's about how you keep those vibes. It's so hard to be confident in this world. And you really do have to look out for you and be very exclusive with your energy because one bad egg can really ruin your cart. So check out Daddy Recovery, the podcast on all platforms. Check out the music and check out theandrewreviewsitall.com to find both, including my entertainment reviews. I love you.